Hey, everybody. Welcome. So glad you guys could pop on our continuing study of the LeadHerShip podcast by Brittany Howard. She is a friend of mine, amazing Diamond Ambassador in Plexus, and it is really fun to just pop on tonight and co-host this and chat about what we learned on this episode of what she shared. So I have a special guest on with me tonight, Senior Gold Ambassador working towards Ruby, Amber Meadows, and I'm super pumped that she's going to be really leading this call tonight. So without any further discussion, I am going to pray, and then I'm going to just let Amber unmute and kick us off, and then I'll just pipe in and we'll kind of go back and forth. But if you guys can keep the chat going, it makes it more interactive and more fun. So even if you didn't get it listened to yet, as we talk and you guys have epiphanies or takeaways, pop in the chat because we would love to hear what y'all are thinking. All right, here we go. Let me pray. Lord, I just want to thank you for the time we have to just meet together as leaders and as people that really want to make a difference and an impact on other people. We thank you for the realms of influence that we each have. We pray a blessing over our families and just a prayer of blessing over the marriages represented here. We just thank you just how you're working and how you're leading. Thank you for the personal growth part of Plexus. That is just such a, for I think many of us, an unexpected surprise. And so we just pray that we would come together as people willing to learn and willing to glean and grow and make the necessary pivots as we continue moving forward. So we just thank you in advance for everything we're going to learn tonight. I pray you would be with Amber and myself as we lead this, and as everyone chimes in their takeaways and thoughts, and we just commit it to you. We thank you for the opportunity event that we just had, and just pray that the people that need to see that video and the specifics that were shared in there, that they would get connected with it somehow. And so we just thank you in advance for overseeing that for us, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Amber.
Hey.
Hello. Hey.
What a crazy day today. But this is fun. So I was just thinking about this. Had Megan asked me a year ago to co-host this call, inside me would have said no, but I would have done it just because I'm a people pleaser. But not because I felt qualified or confident, or I thought she would have felt sorry for me or whatever. So if there was ever a person that had all of the negative thoughts and I've worked really hard to overcome them. So I feel like I'm halfway qualified because it's just been a thing that I've really had to work on. And I know that it hadn't been for Plexus and this team, I wouldn't have overcome them as much. So I'm really fun. It's really fun to be able to have this podcast topic. So, and I feel like it's kind of ironic because I'm like, oh, this is fun. And last year I would have been like, oh, I'm dreading this. So that tells you how far I've come to overcome these things. So I say all that. A little bit about my background is I've been with Plexus for almost 6 years. So I feel like I've gone through like that whole roller coaster of all of the things. And so that my mindset of from where I started to where I'm at now is I can just see the changes of that. And I'm so thankful for that. So I know Plexus is like the main playing role into that. So I appreciate that so much. So speaking of optimism, Brittany started with that last week when Laura and Megan were taking over, and optimism was just the belief that it can be done. And so that was something that I really, really struggled with before. Was I knew that this business could be for you all, and I saw it done, and I saw my friends being successful at it, but I just didn't believe that it was for me, like that I was worthy of it or that I was capable of it. And so I really had to work on that a lot. And the root of that was just the belief in myself. So I don't know where you all fall in that, like whether it's the belief that this business is for you or that you have the ability to do it. But that was the root of mine, was just having the belief in myself to conquer that. So I'm curious about you all, if that is something that you show up with, because when you show up with optimism, you show up with creativity and excitement, and you look for a solution to the problems instead of dreading it, or maybe focusing more on like the like this is never going to work, or you're showing up with dread, or you look at the problem more than you look at the solution. So I'm curious, like in the chat, if you would put that you approach this more optimistically, or do you have more of a negative mindset when it comes to the business? So mine was definitely used to be negative, and now I feel like it's changed a lot to being optimistic, where I'm looking for a solution more than I'm looking at the problem. So
I totally forgot to say the topic of the podcast that we were.
Mine either.
So this is Brittany's podcast from February 21st. So for those of you who are brandy new that maybe are popping on this for the very first time, we have been just faithfully studying one of her podcasts each week on Tuesday evenings at 7:45, just for a quick 30 minutes. But this is the topic that covers 3 types of thinking to avoid at all costs. And so that's where the optimism and some of these things that we're going to talk about tie into, and specifically how high performers think. I think it's so interesting to study successful people in this way, Okay, back to you, Amber.
Well, I see some like a mix over here. So I just want to say, those that maybe have negative thoughts, that's good self-awareness, because those are the things that we can plug into the creation cycle. Or I don't know if you've ever done like the, what is it called? Creation cycle? Is that what it's called? Where you plug in your thought, and then how does that make you feel? And then how does that make you show up? Because usually when we have like a negative thought of some sort, we don't show up, or we avoid things. And so it's really important that we go and do the work on trying to flip that script a little bit, to make it more of a pause. Not like you're going to show up with like rose-colored glasses and everything is going to work out perfectly, but how can we just flip it? One of the things that Megan always says to me is, how can this be easier? Maybe this is easier than you think. And now I've said it to my kids. My daughter started private school. We've always homeschooled, and she started private school this year as a freshman. And she was, of course, really nervous. And I'm like, what if this is easier than you think? And so we keep saying that over and over. And so I love how this applies to like every aspect of your life. So I would just say, just be aware of your thoughts, because those do, as we all know, affect our actions, whether we show up or not. And then I wanted to kind of go into the dog example that Brittany gave us, where we have these 2 sets of dogs, and one set of dogs was successful and one set of dogs was not. And so when they were giving the chance again to do the exact same thing, the set of dogs that were successful had no problem doing it again. But the dogs who had that negative experience, they just had that, where they felt like maybe we feel like we're hopeless, or that they weren't going to be successful. And so for me, when I first started Plexus, I swore I was never going to share. I had no social media. I was not going to share anything. Well, when I finally started sharing, I went silver that first month I started sharing, and then I went gold that following July. And I sat at gold for 3 years. And I was like, I didn't really feel, that's when the point came that I was like, I don't feel like I can do this. I mean, I can do the actions kind of, but I didn't feel like I was going to be successful at it, or that I was worth the success of it. So to say that your thoughts really do matter, they do, because I didn't believe that this business would work for me. So I feel like sometimes we maybe bring on our past, or we bring on like, maybe we didn't get the incentive last month, or maybe we didn't rank up or get the points that we wanted. So then the following month we have that negative thought, when really what I've been practicing is telling myself that this is just practice for when I'm ready to be that rank, or this is practice for when I'm ready to have that business builder. And so I'll get into more of that later, but those are just some thoughts that I've started thinking to myself when I maybe don't reach the goal that I set out for myself. But some of the things that Brittany says, like the negative thoughts that we have, there's 3 to avoid at all costs. And one of them is to personalize things. And so when I did first start, I saw my friend who was this homesteader who didn't have social media, and she was super successful. Like she got up to emerald status, she was super successful. And I was like, oh, well, since I can't do this, I'm going to be like her. And then I saw like Megan's team is made up of all of these sweet, gentle homeschooling mamas, not all, but like there's a lot of these sweet homeschool mamas. And I'm like, oh, I need to be a sweet homeschool mama. And I'm not as gentle as they are. So I feel like I have like this, I'm like funny and blue personality. And I was like, I'm going to get kicked off this team because my personality is not their personality. And it's so funny that I even thought that, but, or you may look at like Trisha Rieger and go, okay, I haven't been successful. So now I need to go and be a person that declutters my house. Or I need to go back to college and be a 20-something because those are the ones that are being successful on Instagram. And so you have all these thoughts. Maybe you compare yourself, you make it about you and that you need to change or be someone else to be successful. But what I have found is when God gets a hold of you and just kind of puts a fire in you that go, this is my purpose, and I am made the way I'm supposed to be made, and my voice matters, and the way I show up is different. It's meant to be that way. And so that has been something that was like, I've had to really struggle with, and it was okay. And I didn't get kicked off the team. And, and I just think it's fun that we all have these different personalities. And I see Linda on here because we were roommates at convention, and I think I scared her at first, but we became such good friends, even though we have a little bit of a different personality, but she's precious. So I just love that we all, if we live into how God made us, we don't need to compare ourselves or have that thought about it's me, or I'm not happy enough, or I'm not fun enough, or I'm not whatever it is enough. I don't think we're made to be enough. And I kind of don't like that saying of we are enough, because then that doesn't really leave room for Jesus, right? So I feel like we may not be enough because we need to have Jesus come alongside us to do this. And that again was something when Megan told me to start praying over my business, that was huge for me, because I didn't ever think that the business was something to pray over. And so when you welcome him in there, you feel like you're just, for me, my worth was, had grown, and I was, my personality wasn't something that was holding me back. So I don't know if you've all ever struggled with any of that, but that's just some insight into mine. So the second thought that she says to avoid at all times is to don't make things pervasive, where it's exaggerated or it's all or nothing. So if a post or a reel doesn't go, isn't viewed well. So like, I'm terrible at reels and I'm never going to do reels again. Or if you don't sign someone up, well, I'm never going to sign anybody up again. And it just makes it a kind of an all or nothing kind of mindset. And so that's obviously a lie. And that's not a truth that we need to be hanging on to. And again, like on social media, that's easy to do. I feel you make things all or nothing, like, that your posts aren't good enough, or they didn't get a view, or your giveaway wasn't really active, so you're never going to do them again. And so I feel like that's something definitely that I've had to overcome as well. And it's real easy to get into that trap. And I also wanted to say, like, sales is a roller coaster. And so sometimes we may have a negative experience happen. I had a girl who signed up, who reached out to me, and she wanted to sign up. And I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Someone came to me. And so I got her started. And then she had a friend that wanted to get started. Well, her triplex got stuck at the UPS store. And it wasn't anything on Plexus's end at all, but it got stuck at the UPS store. And she was calling and she was frustrated, of course. I offered to take her a bag of Slim. I called Plexus. They sent her a new shipment. She went to the UPS store after the weekend, and they said that they returned it. And we're like, why would you do that? And she was frustrated. I couldn't talk her off the ledge, and she returned everything and canceled her subscription. Like, she just canceled her whole account. And I was like, what? Like, I tried so hard and to kind of talk her off the ledge, but things like that happen. And I couldn't just sit there and focus on that one experience. I mean, I feel like Plexus did all they could do. I did all I could do to help her. But I couldn't make that about me. I couldn't make that about Plexus, because we tried our best. And I feel like those things just happen. And so I could have focused on that and been like, no one's ever going to do this again, or our shipping is terrible, or whatever it is. But instead I focused on her and was like, I hate for you to let UPS keep you from being healthy. But if that is your choice, I'm really sorry. Maybe when she calms down, she'll come back. I don't know. But things like that happen. And so the other mindset thinking that Brittany tells us to avoid is to avoid making it permanent, like saying, I'll never get a business builder. I'll never get that rank up. Because like I said, I was at gold for 3 years. And so that can take a toll on you where you feel like it's just not ever going to happen for you. And so it's easy to think that that is going to be a permanent place that you're going to stay. But I know that changing my mindset really has helped me shift that into how can I figure this out? What do I need to do next? And not make it so a permanent thing. And again, like last year, I could have been Ruby already, but one of my runners decided that she didn't want to run anymore, and that's totally up to her. But so here I was again, like where I thought I was going to be ranked up, and then I was not anymore. So I'm just constantly rebuilding my team, I feel, and I'm grateful for everyone that's on there, but it's a roller coaster. And I don't know if maybe that's something that happens to you guys too, where you feel like you're up and you're down and you're up and you're down, and then things happen because you're always doing the actions, right?
I felt that way. I mean, big time roller coaster. I think it's human of us, especially with something like sales, because I mean, as much as I came into this feeling like it was, sharing what was helping us, it is sales. And so it's taken me a little while to like wrap my brain around like, okay, I am selling supplements, but that because like within sales, it's just this whole process. There's the whole dopamine thing going on, right? You get a customer, woo, you're like super excited, you're on the top of the mountain. And one thing that I recognized pretty early on in my journey of sharing, selling, helping people, was that I was going to have a more emotionally stable demeanor or mindset or internal temperature than what was going on in my business. Just like, I can't live like that. High when things are going well, and like down in the dumps if, 3 people shut off their subscription that particular week or wanted to get their products returned. And, I don't know if we just haven't mentioned it enough, but like Justin and I have people quit also. Like just this week, I had somebody that came to me for the business saying her husband finally gave her the blessing to do it. And I think she could be a rock star, but there was just kind of thing after thing kind of holding them back. And, messaged me saying, that she didn't feel like the products were working and it was just causing her to be bloated, blah, 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 all the things. Right. And then Justin had a guy sign last month, and he was a 1 month deal where he was like, yep, I'm done. 1 month, I didn't see much. I was like, all right. So, I mean, the thing is, we cannot let that shade all of our future experiences. Right.
Right. Or like when you have a product and you're like, oh, they don't like the pink drink. I'm like, there are solutions to that. Right.
Exactly. And so it's like, what causes one person to be like, all right, no big deal. I'll call in and get your money back, but get your money back for you and just move along, versus someone that like literally is down in the dumps for 6 months because somebody that they shared products with didn't love them or the product, or it wasn't even that the products didn't meet their expectations. It was maybe even that they didn't even take them like they were supposed to, So it's just interesting how like the psychology of how we handle something disappointing or when something doesn't meet our expectation. Because see, this is the thing. I think we have the model in our mind that, well, we want 100% of the people that get started with us and on Plexus products or on the Plexus business to stay with us for the long game, for as long as we are, and to be as passionate as we are, and like, all the things, stay as consistent on the products as we are. Newsflash, not 100% of people will, and it's totally fine. And I think that what Brittany was talking about with brain chemistry in light of negative emotions, I really appreciated everybody in the chat, saying kind of where their brain space is at or was at, or the things that they have learned and grown in. Because one thing that she said that I thought was really interesting is that thoughts accepted as beliefs totally impact our motivation, energy, and our creativity. And we're more awake and interested when we're operating from the rocket fuel of positive emotions and positive thinking, right? And so when people say like, I'm doing all the things, but they're massively struggling in their mindset, like they really struggle with negativity and pessimism, and then they feel like nothing's happening in their business also. I'm like, well, we can take all the action, but if it's from the wrong motive or wrong emotion, we're not going to have as big of a return as somebody that's operating from their highest level of energy, massive optimism, massive hope, excitement, enthusiasm. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you guys? And so I think it's so interesting to like take a step back and just like study the, like, I guess it's like psychology of success, so to speak, or the mindsets of highly successful people. I think it's super cool. Do you guys think it's cool?
Yes, I read a lot of like the brain plasticity books. Even for like kids who have ADHD, the dopamine, when it goes down, like video games and TV, when that goes down, that's when their like emotions kind of start taking a hold of them. And so it's the same with adults, right? So when we get those emotions that take over us, we don't show up, or we show up in a negative way. And it's interesting the way the brain works. I'm a nerd when it comes to that. So
it's like that awareness of our thoughts, because maybe some of you on the call right now are hearing this maybe for the first time, where you're like, wow, after listening to the podcast, it really held the mirror, where maybe moving forward we'll be more aware of the thoughts we're thinking and even the words that we're speaking out.
Definitely. Yep. And I was just thinking, like, when we go back to like when we were talking about making it personal, and we just like when someone shuts their sub off or whatever it is, and we think it's about us. So I know sometimes we'll start thinking about the negative things. And so for us, that would normally come as a negative mindset. I think it would be fun to pop in the chat something that you're good at. So just kind of think about it for a minute, because I did this. My friend is a John Maxwell coach, and he made us in this little coaching session write down 5 things that we're good at. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot harder than you think because you don't take time to think about that. So if you're willing, put something in the chat that you're actually good at, business related, since we're on Plexus. Connections, that's good. Doing something even when I don't feel like it. That's discipline. That's hard. I felt like that the other day working out. I was like, I do not want to work out, but I did it anyway. Troubleshooting issues and in-person connections. Jill, you are great at that. I don't see your face. Oh, there you are. She's so good at talking to people in person. So good. Encouragement, encouraging, contagious energy. All of those are so good. So I feel like when we start getting negative, we just need to be aware of what we actually are good at. So maybe you didn't get that business builder, but you were good at messaging them. You were good at reaching them out. You were reaching out to them. You were good at finishing your IPA, and you did the action steps, right? And if you focus more on that, then you're going to show up in a different way than if you focused on what didn't happen because of that. So consistency with stories, reels, lives, and posts. Jamie, you're great at your reels. You inspire me. She just does them. I get into that perfection mode. You're so good at it. Dennis, people skills. Yep. Oh, and Jen said the same thing. You guys are going to rock this business. I'm so glad you're on the call with us. Okay, so that's something good. Like, just take note of that. And thank you all for sharing those. That's just something when you start thinking that things, you take them personally, or it's all about you, which it's not. My friend, when I first started sharing, she said, you're just thinking about yourself too much. And she was so right. She said, yeah, that's a selfish way to think about it. And she was on this call a while ago, Brandy. She's the one that said, you need to, when you're have negative mindset about reaching out to somebody, you're making it about you, and you're not making it about them sharing. So yeah, definitely that's another mindset that I had to get across, get over. So back to the 3 ways of the thinking of to avoid. Sorry, I said that wrong. As don't personalize things, don't make them pervasive, and then don't make them permanent. And so, and then she ends with believe it can be done and avoid helpless thinking. And so, I had some homework in true Megan style. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything else, Megan. It was, and then we'll do the homework.
Yeah. So I just wanted to swing back to a comment where someone said that they definitely have negative thoughts for themselves. and they're thinking thoughts like, do I deserve it? Can I really do this? And that totally triggered my brain to remember a call that we were on with up and coming Emerald ambassadors for 2024 on this past Friday. If you want to go listen to it, if you're not senior gold or above, you can go totally snag it from my YouTube channel and go listen to it. It was really good. But one of the things that one of the gals was saying that there's like multiple stages of basically believing in the possibility, right? And so you see it's possible for somebody else. Next, you see it's possible for me, but how? And then the third stage is it's inevitable for me now. Inevitable means unavoidable. Like it can't not happen. So I think it would be good for you guys to kind of think about, rate yourself, which stage you're in. Stage one is it's possible for somebody else. Like you can totally see it for somebody else, probably because you can see their strengths. Stage two is it's possible for me, but how? So if you graduated at that stage, congratulations. Because I feel like that but how question starts to work subconsciously in your brain, and you're gonna start thinking of ideas. And that was something else that I was thinking of that Amber was talking about is I think a lot of us in the beginning of our journey, and it can still pop up at any time, sometimes we just don't have confidence. Like there's a lot of insecurity. And I remember going through this stage also in my Plexus business where I was looking for everybody else's ideas, not necessarily tuning into like, well, what do I think my team needs, or what could I create that would create some momentum, right? So there's nothing wrong with piggybacking off of somebody else's ideas or using someone else's post ideas, or there would be like whatever, but you don't have to be somebody else, right? And we can be confident in who we are because our network wants to hear how we talk about the products, what they've done for us, how we talk about this business. And so don't be afraid to tap into your own intuition at any stage, literally any stage. And so I just wanted to challenge all of us to evaluate kind of what stage you're in. And obviously the goal is that we graduate into stage 3, which is it's inevitable for me now. So, okay, Amber, why don't you give us our homework and then we'll pop off. That was a quick 30 minutes.
That was. Okay, so the first thing is to go back to in the chat where you had to list one thing that you're good at. I want you to take time and write down 5 things that you're good at with the Plexus business, and then 5 things that you're good at in your personal life. And so I know some of those kind of bleed into one another. So I think that awareness, it kind of gives you an extra boost of empowerment and confidence when you actually focus on, oh, I am good at this, or I do that well, instead of the things that don't necessarily always happen for us. And then number 2, write down your name and the rank that you want to be at. So it may not be your next rank, but your big, scary rank goal. And on this call the other day, I think it was Megan made us do it. And I wrote down Amber, Emerald Ambassador, and it made me tear up. Like it was really powerful moment. And that's not my next rank at all. Well, it's going to be my next rank, but I have to get a couple more steps there. But it was super powerful to write that down. Like it was. So I don't know who else says that. So do that. And then when you write that down, write down how you'll show up as that rank. What will your post look like? What will your confidence look like? What does your team chat look like? What do you want your team to be known for? When I was at convention in July, I was struggling with this concept of team culture. And I was like, what do I want my team to be known for or act like or look like or whatever? And as clear as day, during one of the sessions,
Hey guys, did it mute or did it like cut her out?
Okay, I think I'm back. Now I look like a scary ghost because I'm walking
Oh.
into my kitchen. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. I thought it was my internet.
No, it's my boondock
So
internet.
you left us on a cliffhanger.
I don't know where I left.
You said you were like, does anyone remember? She left us.
Where did I leave off at? Did I
Team culture.
the rank
Team
or-
culture.
Yeah, you were just talking about what your team was going to look like when you hit your rank.
You missed all of that. Sorry. I saw you and I thought you were just looking at me really intently, like, ooh, on the edge of your seat, but you were just frozen. Goodness. Okay, so write down your rank and how you want to show up, what you want your team culture to look like, how you want to show up in your chat threads, what you want your posts to look like. I was saying that at convention, I got really clear, like I didn't know what I wanted my team to be known for or what I wanted it to kind of look like. And so I got a lot of clarity there. And it was service because in my personal life, I love to serve like our community. And I was like, of course I would want my team to be like that. So that's just something I'm trying to incorporate now going forward. So and that will look, just kind of maybe different as I get closer to Emerald, but also write down what that income is. So what your income will be when you hit that rank. And how that would make you feel. And then you get to make a post about it. And so look up that income that it would be for your next rank. And don't make a post like, I'm going to be Ruby ambassador and I'm going to make $26,000 a year. Like that really wouldn't talk to anybody or speak to anybody, right? But maybe do it in a way. What I did was I went and looked up what jobs make that kind of money or make less than that kind of money. And it was like phlebotomist and like preschool teacher and all of these things, which are great jobs, but they weren't making what I was, why I was able to stay home with my kiddos. So just make it kind of personal and how it would help someone else, things like that. Don't just like go out there and post the amount, so make a post about that. And then any thoughts that come up about that, creation cycle it. So if that makes you nervous or scared or hesitant to do that, then figure out what that underlining thought is about that circumstance. So there are some creation cycle worksheets. Maybe we can pop in a thread or something that we can share. And then the thought I've been practicing that I want to leave you guys with is I know sometimes it can be really discouraging and frustrating when you've been at a rank for a long time or you never get the like for me, like I said, I was at gold for 3 years. And so that can weigh on you. But I think addressing the thoughts, but also this thought has saved me. I'm practicing for when I am that next rank. So I've been senior gold for like a year or two, something. But I have to say I'm practicing for when I am Emerald. So that way, when I am Emerald, I won't be overwhelmed. I'll have all my systems in place. I'll know what I want my chat to look like. I'll know all of the things. So I just say that this is my practice time for when I am that rank. And so I won't be overwhelmed. So I hope that serves you well of saying, I'm just practicing. Or if you don't get that business builder, I'm just practicing, so I don't know if that helps you all or not, but that's the thought I think all the time. Oh, that was good practice. Let's go again. Oh, good, Jamie. I'm glad that was helpful for you. So anyway, that's all I have. So write down 5 things that you're good at with the business and in personal life. Write down your name and your next rank. How will you show up differently? Make your post about the income that you will get at that rank, and then creation cycle any thoughts that come up for you. And Megan has turned into Justin.
I think that's it, right? Is that
Yep,
it?
that's it.
That was good stuff. Thanks for sharing. Anybody have anything before we sign off? Nothing? Well, do what she just told you to do. That was good stuff. So I think we're signing off for the night.
Okay. Thank
All right.
y'all. Bye.